So if you got a soundbar like this that comes with one of these smaller subwoofers and you want to instead add something like this to it, that can be done. I'll show you how. Okay, so I'm doing this for the Samsung Q990B or 990C, but I would imagine you could probably do this for other brands as well that come with a subwoofer. And how you're going to set this up is going to vary based on what you're trying to do. So there's a few different options and things to consider. So first one is you need to decide if you still want to use your original subwoofer along with the new, or just strictly replace the old with the new. So it's going to vary based on that decision, and I'll get into that. But also you need to figure out if your subwoofer has speaker level inputs or amplified inputs, or if it just comes with line level, which would be pre-amplified sound, so or signal. So in this case, for me, the Klipsch RP 1400 SW is the model, I think. This does not have amplified or speaker level inputs. It only has line level. So the problem that I was faced with is where we're tapping into on the existing subwoofer, it's amplified signal. And so you can't, or you shouldn't plug amplified signal directly into a line level or a preamp, because it's just going to try to reamplify it. And I'm definitely no expert, but generally you should avoid that. So what we have to do is convert that amplified sound back down to line level. And that's what this little guy is here. And I'll get into that more as well. But I also decided that I wanted to use the existing subwoofer and have them both work in tandem. And for a couple reasons, to add a little bit more balance, although once you plug in and get something this big working, you can hardly hear this anymore. But the bigger reason for me is I have little kids and I didn't want them blasting this thing early in the morning when I'm potentially still asleep. So I wanted to be able to shut the new one off and still have them have some bass if they were down here watching a movie. So that was the thought, but it's going to make it a lot simpler if you just want to replace. But let me get into how I did it. So you're going to take off the back, flip it open, and so this is kind of what you'll see. And so these two wires here, this is where the amplified signal is coming out. And originally, before I kind of hacked this up, these two wires were routed directly to the connections on the 8-inch woofer. And you can get these off. They're a little tricky the first time you do it, but they will come off with a little tug. And you might have to cut off a little bit of the shrink wrap or the heat wrap around it, but they will come off. So instead, what I had to do here, and especially because I now have two outputs instead of one, I needed to take each of these wires and splice or kind of pigtail one output into two each. So having 4 wires going out. And then you just take one of the 2 pairs, route it back to the 8-inch woofer. And then if you can see down here, the other pair is routing down below and out the port here. That was just easy for me. You could do it any way you want, but that's how I did it. And then this is running directly to the line level converter. And I got this off Crutchfield. I will add a link in the description. This one was about $40 when I bought it, which is a little pricey compared if you look on Amazon, but this one handles a lot more output, I think up to 550 watts. And I want to say that this outputs 220, so more than enough coverage. But some of the ones I saw on Amazon were for regular speakers as opposed to subwoofers. So it seemed to handle a lot less wattage. So just be careful there around the wattage, but I wanted to make sure this worked and I didn't have any issues or didn't want to blow out this sub or amplifier on the new sub, so I didn't want to mess around. So I've got this one. But anyway, so you route your pair, your wire pair coming from here that I showed before, and you only need to do it on one side. And the ordering of this honestly doesn't really matter which one you put where. Just make sure you have the right pair coming out. And then on the other sides, the other corresponding side, you want to put your LFE or RCA cable. And that just simply goes right onto your single LFE input there on the subwoofer. And that's it. Then at that point, you're going to have your existing subwoofer and your new subwoofer working. So it's going to be easier for you if your subwoofer has those speaker level inputs. You won't need that line level adapter in that case. You'll just route it directly from the old, skipping the line level adapter, just going direct into the LFE RCA input over on your new sub. And so the Klipsch doesn't have it, so be careful, but I think SVS and a few others for sure have that. So definitely check that out to see if that's available. That'll make it a lot simpler for you. And if you just want to do a direct replacement and you don't want to use your old, you'll just simply tap off of where it was plugged into your old woofer and just direct that right here, right into the adapter and then through. So you don't have to do that pigtailing and multiple outputs. But yeah, let's give it a look all set up now. All right, so let's test it out. Jurassic Park here. You are not going to be able to hear it, obviously, but you should be able to see it. So let's play this.
Where's it go?
So you can't hear that, but that's pretty much shaking the whole house. So highly recommend. Made a night and day difference from the original subwoofer. Do it.